So this one's called Stalker Neckbeard. There's this one guy who nicknamed himself Shadow. like after the hedgehog?
You will refer to me only by my name, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Hello friends, trace amounts of science. Today we are getting into some good old classic neckbeard stories. Oh yes. I saw a post about a fencing neckbeard and I was like, oh, it reminds me of the classic Sir Sam. So we might as well crack it open, make it see what it do. We might also dig into OP's profile a little bit, because he might be a weirder dude than he lets on in this story, but more on that later. Let's get into it. Tale from a life of fencing. Neckbeard sport of choice. Yeah, who knew? I didn't know they could have a sport of choice. Does Super Smash Bros. Ultimate count as a sport of choice?
Welcome to the Smash Olympics.
Anyway, Opie says hi. Hi, throw it on the ground. So a recent story discussed one of the people involved in fencing, which made me think of my own fencing experience. I love this sub and never thought I had any neckbeard stories, but thinking back on my fencing made me realize I do. They aren't very long stories. I just mostly had brief interactions with neckbeard-like behavior. For reference, I taught for about 1.5 years, and I competed in fencing for most of my life. Taught what? Fencing? That's what I'm going to presume. The first neckbeard encounter I can think of was back in college. I was competing in a college fencing club tournament, which is notorious for attracting notable hobbyists. Some sword guys are really cool and some are just really not. There was this one really tall, skinny guy, I remember. Most of the fencers have some sort of sheath to protect their blades in the bag. Usually this sheath is made out of PVC pipe or something similar. And usually, yes, they are kept in one's fencing bag. However, this guy wore his sheath on a makeshift rope belt all around the tournament. So he can draw it at any moment. If a terrible public tragedy happens, all I have to do is draw my sword and charge the guy.
Because how are you going to stop a gunman with that?
Bro,
he's going to get you from a distance.
If I come at you, I'll get to you faster.
Whatever, delusions of grandeur aside, I'm sure, yeah, that's a cringe lord if I've ever seen one. When it was his turn to fence, he would fling it out like Zorro, flourishing through the air. Keep in mind, this was a 6-foot, rail-thin boy of about 160 pounds. Also, you can't wear sheaths on the strip, so even after his dramatic flair, he still had to put his sheath on the side before he went to his bout. Yes, this is just for the audience. They're looking, don't you know? Yes, I do know. Please put that goddamn thing down. Also, normally, before and after a match, you salute your opponent. Usually this is a very casual up and down waving motion of the blade, like so. Yes, a courteous salute indeed before the bloodletting begins. However, this guy flung his blade around like crazy and then did a bowing crouch superhero landing thing. Not only was it dangerous, but it looked so over the top. If you ever fence, please don't be like this guy. Please. I don't think he won very many bouts that day. Good God, he's walking around like I'm the coolest guy here. Everybody's looking as I flourish my blade. No concern for anybody else, their possible safety, just living completely in his own head. Exactly what I would expect, honestly, from a neckbeard with a sword. So good, quite an interesting specimen. Let's move on into the next one. The next that I can think of is at another tournament. There was one guy I had to fence who had a literal greasy neckbeard. He also had on his conductive vest some sort of pattern. From far away, it looked like a dirty sweat or coffee stain. Only when you came up close could you see that it was a dragon pattern with flames. Of course it was. Not sure why he chose a sweat-stained color for that one. Something to note, in my personal experience, most competitive fencers like to downplay the whole sword and chivalry part of fencing. I mean, I did join because of Star Wars lightsabers, but after getting experience under my belt, I learned that the sport is completely separate from what is portrayed in the media. Old ass facts, bro. Never believe the media. But yeah, the fact that you got into it through something nerdy like Star Wars, okay. I think a lot of us could understand that. but you absorb and you adapt. And it sounds like a lot of these novice outside enthusiast fencers are sort of just in it on their own, and they've apparently developed some really bad habits. It's not on you to correct it, but I would like to see it addressed, possibly by the judge or referee or whatever you have. I don't know anything about fencing. That would be funny with a referee standing in the middle. That's probably really stupid. Okay, moving on. When we see people who go out of their way to emphasize the theatrical side of fencing, it's generally pretty cringy, especially in a competitive atmosphere. Maybe a good analogy would be like a guy coming to a basketball tournament in a Space Jam jersey. Hey guys, I heard you want to slam, so welcome to the jam. Or maybe a baseball player coming to a game with a Ricky Vaughn Major League haircut with Wild Thing playing in the background. It's very easy to see people who are programmed by the media they consume don't ever really question it. They're just like, oh, that's the thing that I'm supposed to be. And admittedly, I'm affected by it too, a little bit. I want all of the nice gamer things that I'm quote-unquote supposed to have. But yeah, that's fine. I think it's a little different when you take it out in public, put it on display. We all need to be less performative in public. Oh my god, Gen Alpha's gonna be a nightmare. They were raised by theater kids on YouTube. Oh, Jesus! It's dark days ahead, people. That's all I'm gonna say. At least we'll always have Wild Thing. Wild Thing! Wild Thing! Next is an experience from teaching. I remember one time I saw this one guy getting a fencing lesson. Okay, but how many? Just the one? He was okay for a beginner, but he got winded pretty quickly. Yeah, as beginners are wont to do. I then noticed what he was drinking to recuperate. Fucking Mountain Dew. Like a whole bottle of Mountain Dew. And only Mountain Dew in between bouts. We tried to tell him that drinking Mountain Dew would not hydrate him, but he scoffed at us, saying he couldn't drink water because of the taste.
Are you f***ing dumb?
Yeah, duh. I hate the taste of nothing. That's why I'm always drinking the Mountain Dew. Don't you see? He said, trust him about Mountain Dew's hydrating properties. Yeah, dew is made of water, duh. He could barely go 30 seconds without needing a break. He then stayed after practice, taking up half of our tiny studio's fencing floor in order to take pictures of himself with a tripod and camera of him just posing with his fencing gear on. Dude, what? Who are you trying to impress with this? I bet this is Sir Sam doing it. At least Saber just never realized that he had an Instagram. He decided that the best place to do this would be right in the middle of the room, interfering with all the other lessons. You're gonna allow this to happen? People might quit because of this. He's taking money out of your pocket. Somebody needs to say something. And as I recall, OP's the teacher, so get at him, coach. Whenever I looked at him, warning him that I might accidentally hit him if he's standing in the middle of the room, he glared at me, saying absolutely nothing, like he owned the place. Okay, then how about you have him forcibly removed so that class can continue? Being mildly passive-aggressive is not going to work in this situation, OP. Sorry, not sorry. Neckbeard stuck with the sport for a good little while, though, and I think he eventually got a little better about his manners and habits, so good for him. Yeah, some socialization, that'll do you good. Now you're learning how to human. But seriously, please drink some water before your kidneys shut down, okay?
Drink some water.
That's all for now. I got a few more stories I can remember, and I might tell them later. I hope you enjoyed my slice of neckbeard behavior. And yes, all three quite delectable tales. But it was the third tale that piqued my interest the most. That noodle spine, that passive aggressiveness. I thought to myself, does that apply to any of his other Neckbeard Stories tales? Well, he didn't write any, but he did write some in r/relationships, so it might be worth taking a little time out to cover that as well. OP, 25 male, with their fourth date, 21 female, invited myself over in an attempt to save her some money. She's not responding. Was I too forward? Well, yeah, kinda. She probably doesn't want you to know where she lives. 4 dates, I mean, it's a fair amount of knowing somebody. But who wants to open up the door that wide? I don't know that I do after 4 dates. Anyway, OP says, hi, so I've been on 3 dates with this girl so far. Our last date, last Saturday, ended kind of earlier because she had work early in the morning, but I knew that going in. We kissed, but I may have been aggressive in initiating it, and she sort of giggled afterwards and looked down at her seat. I'm not really sure what that means. That means you picked the wrong moment or you're a really bad kisser. Either way, you sort of did drop the ball. Learn from this experience and move on. If she was actually interested, she would have responded. But yeah, I guess at 25, sort of still figuring it out. Overall, I thought we had a really good time on that date. Not great, but she's a real hard person to read sometimes. And the communication is just lacking, or what? All signs point to this relationship not being worth pursuing, but OP doesn't want to admit it to himself. You're invested, you're 3 dates in, and yeah, that is sort of a heartbreaker in a way. She should at least give him the good courtesy of being like, hey, here's why it was really awkward for me. Try not to do that with your future prospects. It's a really off-putting and ominous way to say it, but we're leaving it in. Anyway, she lives fairly far away from me, and she had already expressed concerns about driving out to meet me because she works part-time and gas is expensive for her. I asked her out yesterday to cook dinner together at her place and have a movie night, thinking that could be fun and it would save her money on gas and going out. She hasn't responded yet to my texts, where in the past she was very responsive. So yeah, she doesn't care enough to give you the time of day. There are no answers, and the truth is the answer doesn't matter. The switch flipped from hot to cold, or maybe it's some sort of test. Who really gives a shit? The answer to any feasible possibility is to just walk away. Let her stew, especially if you've only been on 3 dates. Get her to take her mask off nice and early, and she's like, you're supposed to chase me. And it's like, well, usually the chase is a back and forth type of thing. You just stonewalled me, and I don't have fucking time for it. So I'm on to the next. My mental health requires that I do not dwell. So, discounting that she might have lost interest in me, which is a very real possibility, is offering that kind of date at her place too forward. Yeah, probably, because the subtext in between the lines is you got physical on the last date, and now you want to get physical within her own home, you know? Maybe you wouldn't have stayed the night, but surely something would have happened. 2 single young people alone in a house? Are you really just gonna eat a fucking microwave pizza and watch a movie? I don't think so. OP had other things in mind. You can mark my words on that. Even if it wasn't at the forefront of his mind, in the back of his head, he's probably still like, wouldn't that be cool? You're right, it would be. But you need to come a little more correct. OP says, I wasn't intending to sleep with her or anything that night, but she seems like a reserved person. Should I follow up with another date idea? Looking for advice. Thanks for your time. No more date ideas. Let it go. Walk away. That's really all you could do. Only terrible things could possibly come from continued interaction. The conversation will be even more stilted and horrible than it already was. Let it go. TLDR, invited myself over to a girl's place for dinner and a movie night with no intention of sleeping over, and instead to save her money. She hasn't responded to my text, and I'm looking for advice. I gotta tell you, OP, you got some neckbeard tendencies of your own. I mean, we all do. Nobody escapes the cesspool completely unscathed. That's just a fact. But I hope that you have improved since this point. So yes, very interesting crawl around a certain somebody's head. I don't know them from Bob, but it's fun to practice reading between the lines, isn't it? A bit of the old critical thinking, Or possibly just making up our own theories about this or that or whatever. But I do think that theory is correct. Anyway, we'll get into something else. Continue it along. This story also mentions Mountain Dew, so I guess we're vaguely Mountain Dew themed today.
Ain't nothing like a good Mountain Dew. Yes, Lord.
This is the Walmart neckbeard. Yeah, the Walmart neckbeard, as opposed to the hundreds of other Walmart neckbeards. Okay, I'm a cashier at Walmart. Pretty standard, you know. I don't, actually. There's probably a lot of intricacies about working at Walmart that I'd find fascinating, but sure, go ahead. Now, here's a fact. I look 21 when I'm actually 16, but my badge has yellow on it, indicating that I'm underage. Oh, I didn't know about the yellow tape on the badge thing. That's one of those Walmart intricacies, you know? Also, how do you look 21 at 16? You don't have to add 5 years to yourself just so you can be like, yeah, what this guy was doing was slightly maybe better okay in some way. No, he was cruising looking for young-looking chicks, like too young. Even if you didn't know about the stupid yellow tape thing, it's somewhere deep in your lizard brain, you know. Anyway, now that that's established, let's talk about this neckbeard. He was big, like stomach touched his knees type of big. Oh, his poor knees. No collagen left, completely blown out, practically arthritic. When he talked, you could hear the diabetes in his voice. His beard grew from his neck up. He had Doritos dust in said beard. He smelled as if he'd never showered since the day he was born, and his breath smelt of ass and Mountain Dew. I guess the Mountain Dew makes it slightly better. He bought a family-sized bag of Doritos and a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew. I kindly asked him about his day and told him his total. For 10 minutes, he talked about how I shouldn't be working, and I need a real man to take care of me. Yeah, sure, let me know when you find one. You obviously can't take care of yourself. I don't at all disagree with the notion of a man being a provider. But prove to everyone that you can provide for yourself before you drag other people into your shit pile, you know? And if you are providing for yourself, at least make it look like it. Work on the externals a little bit. Probably still wouldn't help, because his personality's garbage. Anyway, OP says I kindly explained that although I like guys, I was into women. He still insisted, I need a man. Yeah, pretty gross. How about you just take that L and walk away? It's not even an L. Just respectfully wish the person a good day and don't interact with them any further. Like if it went from him being a pushy jerk and she's like, I like women, and then all of a sudden he flipped and he's like, yeah, I bet you pull some bad bitches too. And he just took his stuff and left. And maybe OP at the end of the day would be like, actually, he's kind of cool. But no. You have to whine and beg and twist it till it all turns out your way. It's ridiculous. He then proceeded to touch my hand. Uh-oh. I kindly explained that I was underage because not everyone knew about the age thing. Yeah, the yellow tape thing. I didn't know. How would anybody know?
Shit, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that. Like,
you presume an inordinate amount of knowledge here, OP. He said, and I quote, and what's that supposed to do? He said that I was supposed to be honored to be approached by him. Has anyone ever been honored? How many women have you accosted in such a way? No positive receptions? Not from a single one? Huh. That's interesting. You might want to study why that is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm decent looking, and I heard that I'm cute. Yeah. 16-year-old girl wrote this one for sure. So when he said I was an ugly whore, I laughed. He lingered around my register until I had to call a customer service manager to have him escorted out. Should have had the manager take him out back, put the boots to him. Medium style. Yeah, we could go hard style. There's just something that's double plus extra creepy about the neckbeard that knows she's underage and just doesn't care. Like, you've been informed, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. What are they gonna do, send me to jail? Yeah, probably. Hopefully. This guy needs to be on a list. Can we detain him, get some paperwork started? Pretty creepy, but I don't know. We keep it going. I don't want to think about that one for too long. So this one's called Stalker Neckbeard. There's this one guy who nicknamed himself Shadow. like after the hedgehog?
You will refer to me only by my name, Shadow the Hedgehog.
He was a typical neckbeard, complete with a Mountain Dew and adult anime obsession. He also wore the same black clothes every day and never showered. To complete his ensemble was a gauntlet that he made in metals class. That part actually is pretty badass. Yeah, it is. Let's do some metalworking. Even if it's chainmail, I'm like, dude, that's pretty cool. I am in the market for chainmail, especially considering the upcoming zombocalypse. Opie continues to say that his BO was bad was an understatement. I could smell him coming from across the hall. Oh, that's unfortunate. A friend of mine had a class with him, and out of pity, she struck up a conversation. See, there's your first mistake. No pity, never. Pity is what allowed him to get this far. That was all the encouragement that he needed, because every day after that, he would just follow her around everywhere. And you did this. You!
You have done that yourself.
To protect her as best we could, me and other friends would walk her to class, and every time he would try to talk to her and pull her away from us, like physically, we would just interrupt him and say loudly that we needed to go to the bathroom and take her with us. That didn't deter him either, because he'd wait outside the bathroom. He's so desperate for just any human connection. Here's my human connection. I come over, I pretend to put a hand on his shoulder, just hover hand it, you know? You don't want to actually touch it, gross. And you just be like, hey, look, buddy, you need to have a shower. Everybody notices that you're really, really smelly, but outside of that, you seem like a nice enough dude. Surely you do want to improve on some level. Well, what's going on, buddy? Why are you so smelly, buddy? Huh? You don't have water at home or something? Parents aren't doing the laundry? I'll give you a few bucks a week to go down to the laundromat. And then later I'd find out he was spending that money on Mountain Dew and I'd have to beat him up to get it back. Truly, I don't think anybody is that understanding in high school, though. They mostly point and laugh and go, ha, there's the smelly kid. But yeah, he's probably got some deeper shit than that going on and nobody cares to take notice. It's really depressing. No, wait, what did I say? I'm not supposed to have pity. Damn it! I've ruined it.
Oh, man. You're just ruining it. Look at my lips. You're ruining it.
I've enabled him now. On one occasion, this neckbeard also tried to follow us into the bathroom, of course. See, there's where the pity evaporates completely. He started following her when she walked home after school, so we would walk with her. She got brave enough to tell him to screw off, but he remained undeterred. It got so bad that the school had to get involved. TLDR, a smelly neckbeard nicknamed himself Shadow and stalked my friend for an entire school year. Yeah, short and sweet, succinct. I don't know what the hell the school did. They need to get that kid into therapy or something. He's got some things to work on. But I truly don't believe he's a lost cause. Barging into the ladies' bathroom is about the worst thing that he did. And it is bad, but I don't think he's beyond the pale. Maybe we can wind this back. His mind is young and moldable. But oh well, what the hell do I know? We're moving on to the next one. And thank God this one is longer, and also mentions Mountain Dew. It's Neckbeard and coworker from hell. Is that the same guy? I'm gonna presume it's the same guy. I have been reading a lot of this sub lately, and decided to share my experience with a neckbeard that I used to work with. Background: I'd been with this company for a few years before I transferred to a new location. Upon transferring to my new store, I soon learned of the neckbeard in question from my coworkers. Oh yes, the rumblings. The grapevine surely makes its way around to everyone. You started not liking this guy before you even got to know him. You know what? I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I like to judge people on an individual basis. And then the coworkers at your new location think you're weird because you don't conform to the social group. Good. I'm not spending more than 6 months to a year here anyways. But, continuing the story. Whenever someone talked about him, they would roll their eyes and groan. I first saw him when he came in to shop on his day off. Dude, he really has nothing else going on. Don't you feel like the least bit bad? A part of me does. I do pity. I'm only human. But yeah, like I said, pity's what they feed off of. Pity and Mountain Dew. Neckbeard had long, greasy blonde hair that went down to the middle of his back. The neckbeard was just as greasy and quite long. He had a bit of crumbs stuck in the beard as well. course, snack for later. It was quite hot out, but he was wearing a long trench coat with an undershirt that was so drenched in sweat that it looked like he had just jumped in a pool with his clothes on. God, that's so embarrassing. I know what it's like to be the big fat sweaty guy. That's why he's trying to wear the long trench coat, so you don't notice that he's a big fat sweaty guy. But you notice the plan has failed. There was no fedora in sight, but the rest of the signs were there. The most noticeable thing about him was the smell. It was such an intense smell that you could tell it was him from 20 feet away. Is the smell really like the most abrasive things about all of these neckbeards? Because he hasn't done anything so far, I do still feel a little bit of sympathy for him. There's some severe mental things going on there. For the sake of this story, he will be known as Stinky. For another reference in the post, I have a female coworker, and we will call her Red because of her red hair. Well, that could get confusing. Nah, probably it's gonna be fine. When do I ever refer to myself in the third person? ReddX has never done that before. ReddX does not condone it. There's strikes 1 and 2 right there. So into the story, Neckbeard would often work the overnight shift, so I rarely saw him in the first few weeks of working there. My first shift that I worked with him, he actually seemed pretty nice. We talked about a few things that we were interested in, such as video games and Marvel movies. The next day, I was talking to Red and mentioned that I had met Stinky, and besides his appearance and smell, he wasn't such a bad guy. Red said, "That's because you aren't a woman." I mean, yeah, valid criticism there. I don't know anything about the female experience. Some parts of it look super easy, some parts look super difficult. Who got the better end of the stick? I really couldn't tell you. So I asked her what she meant by that, and she told me about a creepy thing that he had done to her. He didn't have a car, so he would often walk to work and ask for rides home from his coworkers. He would only ask the girls there, and most of them told him no. Is there a reason he only asked the girls? Again, my sympathy is drying up almost immediately. That's how he garners the sympathy that he feeds upon. He's just a fat, disheveled mess, and eventually some girl's like, "Aw, I could totally help him out." And then he does whatever creepy thing we're about to hear about. So one night he asked Red for a ride, and she felt bad for him because it was pouring outside. She drove him to his house, and when she parked in his driveway, he asked to borrow her phone so he could call his mom to open the garage for him. She didn't think to ask why he couldn't use his own phone, so she let him borrow it. Damn, slipping with the OPSEC. You hate to see it. He immediately texted himself something on her phone so he would have her number. Then he said, "Thanks," and got out of the car and opened the garage door himself. She was pretty pissed and also creeped out. I mean, did he ever do anything with the phone number? Was it proven that he did? Well, he probably did. Something worth mentioning about Stinky is that his attire for work was not much better than when he was off work. His work uniform was a size too small for him, so his rolls would stick out. Aw, come on, get him an apron or something. What the hell? You think people want to come in here and see Muffin Top? Manly, hairy Muffin Top?
I'm dead sexy. Look at my sexy body. Oh, yeah.
No thanks. I'm not a small man myself, but I do dress for my size. Samesies, OP. Not only was his shirt too small, but it was absolutely covered in sweat stains. The smell was unbearable, and it wouldn't be hard to believe that he only showered about once a week. Nope, twice a month, whether I need it or not. Do you realize how amazing it is to be like freshly showered and cleanly laundered? Oh, truly that is ambrosia. That's what heaven feels like all the time, I bet. Customers were repulsed by Stinky as well. He would stand at the register and guzzle Mountain Dew while a customer was waiting to be served. He would often make borderline sexist or racist jokes to customers, and they would just chuckle awkwardly. He wasn't 21 yet, back when I knew him, so we would have to ring up alcohol for people at the register while he was there. And every single time we would do this, he would make the same joke. Card her twice. She's only 16. It was funny the first time, but not after 500 times of hearing this. He's just tried his damnedest to make an emotional connection of any sort, isn't he? Too neurotic to act on the phone number that he creepily stole from his coworker. Too self-critical to reach out in any way other than what's essentially like a stupid sort of pickup line. He wants to connect so bad, but he can't connect in any meaningful way. He's a bit of an annoying creep, a bit of a turd, but yeah, I don't think he's beyond the pale either. And he's not even 21. He's got a chance. He could turn it around. I believe in him. OP says it wasn't surprising that he would get complaints weekly. Often customers would tell me that they would avoid him and even shop elsewhere while he was working. Yeah, who wants to come in there and smell that? What the fuck? I'm spending good money here. He was very intrusive to other people's conversations and would always throw in his opinion. He would constantly try to upstage people and prove them wrong. If anyone tried discussing something he was interested in, video games, anime, movies, he would lecture you on why he knew more than you and your opinion was wrong. Nobody cares. Cool, you won the argument. Now leave me alone. I've tried to shop here. There's no such thing as a wrong opinion when it comes to how you consume media. Oh, that's the message you got? Cool. That's probably the message that was intended for you to get. So, great. Stop trying to win points and just genuinely connect with another human being. I'm trying so hard to give him all of the advice that I possibly can. He's still just going to completely fuck it up because his ego's in the way. Well, whatever, I keep trying. I was floored to learn that he actually had a girlfriend. There's somebody for everybody, I guess. It never stopped him from flirting with every other girl, however. Ooh. Although, yeah, he's young. He wants to feel like he's a young man gallivanting about town, doesn't he? Personally, I think it's sort of uncouth. But that's with years of wisdom behind it. At his age, I'm doing the exact same shit. What do you want? I can't crucify him just because I see too much of myself in him. That ain't fair. He says she was a piece of work herself. Long, frizzy brown hair, very greasy face covered in pimples. The only shirt she ever wore was an old, faded Sonic t-shirt. She would just stand there at the register, talking to him for hours, and was kicked out frequently and told to come back when he was on his break. Yeah, she doesn't have anything better to do, too. Couple of nobodies. Couple of go-nowheres. Although, I don't know. They seem happy, and there's probably something to be said for that as well. But anywho, OP says on Neckbeard's breaks, he would drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew and eat half a dozen candy bars while blaring anime from his phone. Nani baka, nani baka. If anyone entered the break room while he was there, he would glare at them until they left. He would leave the break room, a mess, and smelling like B.O. Man, somebody needs to put that boy in his place, you know? Go over there, slap his phone off the table, see what happens next. Scream in his face that he stinks. I can't use the break room for an hour after you come in here, because you literally smell like you're rotting from the inside. He probably is. Thanks to ReddX brand Super AIDS!
He's got AIDS!
Did you take yours today? I forgot mine. I'll get it tomorrow. It's fine. He finally left the company a few months ago for a call center job. I feel sorry for anybody with a cubicle next to his, man. The bullpen done turned into a pig pen. It's a good job for him, considering that smell can't travel through the phone. Well, that part's true, but his coworkers... About a month after he left, my manager found a mugshot of him online. He was arrested for domestic, and we haven't heard from him since. Jeez, that is a really dark ending. Everybody in the comments is like, don't let that be the ending to the saga, OP. But yeah, he couldn't just make up anything else to throw on top of it. It is what it is. Sometimes people drift out of your life, and sometimes you should be super grateful for that. But he does have another story about a neckbeard that he knew for a little bit longer called Link down in the comments. So I guess we could read through that right now. And it is quite verbose, so it'll make a beefy video. Hey, great. This post is going to be a bit long because I worked with this guy for 6 years. It won't be a chronological story because each of these stories are their own separate occurrence, so let's get started. Oh, I love a vignette format. Background, me and Link, as he will be called from now on, worked at the same retail store together for over 6 years. Link is a marvel. Half of the stories I have about him, I would not believe myself if I hadn't been there to witness them in all of their glory. I don't know if you mean all that in a good way, but Link seems like a pretty cool guy. You're sort of talking him up. Link's about 4 years younger than I am and graduated from the same high school. The fact that he graduated from high school is a miracle in and of itself, and these stories will explain why. Oh, sort of a stories about Kevin also, maybe. Link is nicknamed as he is because, well, he's a Legend of Zelda fan. There might be some people not picking that up, but I think most of us are. Not your everyday fan of the games, of course, but someone who goes to conventions dressed as Link, with his sister dressed as Zelda. I mean, that's kind of nice. A little sibling bonding, you know? OP says that's not bad by itself, but I thought that would ease you all into his stories before it went full-on crazy. Yeah, that's the part I'm looking forward to. Let's descend, shall we? Link had zero filter when it came to his mouth. He was constantly talking, and this gave our work a bit of a dilemma. He couldn't be trusted off the register because all he would do is talk to coworkers and follow them around. Because of this, he was perpetually stuck at the front, ringing people up. Yeah, make him everybody else's problem. You talk to these people. Nobody here wants to talk to you. Link was an absolutely terrible speller. I don't mean he would make occasional spelling mistakes or misuse a word. When he wrote a note for all of us to read, it would take a committee of us to figure out what he was trying to say. No joke, we felt like we were deciphering a lost language. Money me need bad now. Give money me please.
Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
I will say in Link's defense, you guys did figure it out eventually, right? Huh? Link had a different thought process than the rest of us. He would often switch shifts with me if I needed the day off for whatever reason, and I was truly grateful. I would often say, hey, thanks, man. I owe you one. Most people would understand that this is a figure of speech, but not Link. Yeah, he's gonna take you up on the one. You told him you owed him one. He would indeed take this to be a contract, signed in blood, that was unbreakable. A few months later, something came up that he wanted to attend even though he was scheduled to work. He asked me if I could cover him, and said that at least 3 times I had owed him. I told him that I couldn't that day because by this time I already had a second job that I needed to be at. He would not take no for an answer, and continued to hound me for a week. He constantly complained that I had to make good on my deal, even though I told him that I was working my other job. Yeah, what do you want me to do, quit the second job so I can cover your fat ass? No thanks. Put in for the days off like a normal human being. Know what days you need coming down the pipe and apply a few months early. I'm sure you could get it. He's trying to bail out like the week before the convention or whatever the hell it is. Sorry, brosif, no can do. Link was pretty awkward around girls. When the store closed and everyone was leaving for the night, he would always ask the girls for a hug. Ugh, the where's my hug guy. Ugh. That's just the worst. It creeped them out and they would refuse, but that did not deter him. Yeah, we are descending quickly, aren't we? What a freak. He would throw a party for his birthday every year and invite the whole store. To the girls, he would always remind them that it was a pool party and swimsuits were required to attend. Yeah, he cranked that creepy dial up to 11. Did anybody show up to the party? Nobody's gonna go. But OP says he went. One year I decided to attend because, in all honesty, I felt kind of bad for the guy. Again, peeing in Mountain Dew. When I arrived with my girlfriend, we were the only ones who actually came. Damn, dude. He's gonna sit there again for like the 3rd or 4th year in a row eating the whole birthday cake by himself. Breaks your heart, doesn't it? Sorta. About half an hour later, one other girl from work showed up, but that was it. He actually had an awesome backyard for parties with an in-ground pool and a tiki bar set up. Dude, that is sick. The most heartbreaking thing about it was that his mom went all out for this party. He had invited 30 people, and his mom made enough food for 50, and only 3 showed up. Oof. Biggest oof moments in history. This is a formative moment right here. Mom never gave up hope on her baby boy. Maybe that's the problem. She's doing too much for him. That's why he's all malformed and doesn't know how to interact with people. Whatever, anyway. By the time we left, we were sent home with about 5 pounds of food each. Dude, sick. I love that. A little bit of takeout, nothing wrong with that. Link loved working at our store. He enjoyed everything, down to the music that we played over the intercom for the customers to listen to while they shopped. You know that music that repeats 3 times an hour and is like 1 step above elevator music? Yeah, that music. I don't know, sounds kind of cozy and snazzy. Sponsored by Mentos. Life has been ruined by corporate advertisements. This is all that's going to be engraved on the inside of my skull. It's pathetic. Anyway, he loved the music so much that he actually wanted a playlist of the songs. Hey, he's making the most of where he is. I'm going to sign off on this. Most retail stores have a phone survey system now where people call in and review their experience shopping there. Link had been warned that he was getting negative surveys and was told to better his customer service. The icing on the cake was when he called the store hotline to ask about the music playlist. He accidentally called the customer service review number and filled out a review of the store, giving all zeros so he could get to the comments section faster. When he got to the part where it asked which employee helped you at the store, he of course gave his name so the people would know it was him who wanted the music playlist. In the comments, he requested the playlist from corporate. They should oblige him. They're probably just upset that he put zeros, but I don't know, throw that result out. You know who it is and why he did it. You don't understand, we can't throw it out. We're a corporate machine. All of those zeros will be chronicled in a spreadsheet. The next day, I've never seen my manager as mad as he was that day. He called Lincoln to the office and screamed at him for giving himself a negative review. Funniest shit I ever seen. I mean, he's an idiot. Whatever. Brush it under the rug. Give him the playlist. Like, by now you know he has at least a few screws loose, right? Give him a pink slip and the playlist. You're fired, but now at least you got a lot of time to listen to elevator music. OP says, we are just getting started, so go ahead and buckle up, folks. Remember when I said that Link had no filter? We had a semi-regular customer who came in with her daughter. Her daughter was about 5 years old and had a slight ear deformity. Her ears came to a point, much like elves do in movies. Link, being super into fantasy, noticed this at once and said, "Hey, look, it's the girl with the little elf ears." The girl smiled and knew at once that he meant it in a nice way. The mom, on the other hand, went into full-out protective mom mode and started screaming at Link. I don't know, Link has like a sort of childlike wonder here that I admire. The other child knew what he meant. The mom is the one that's going to instill a complex into this little girl about the shape of her ears. Don't you know that's something that you should be embarrassed of? When people comment on it, you have to go into a full-on meltdown mode. No, you really don't. You could tell them the name of the medical condition. You could comment and be like, please don't mention that again because I'm sensitive about it. Not my daughter is sensitive about it. She's fine, but I am sensitive about it. Apparently the mom had been paying for several surgeries to get her daughter's ears to look more normal. See, she's got this whole fucking complex about it. Pathetic. You think that because your daughter's ears are misshapen, that's like a reflection of you as a person. You could rock with it, you know, teach the kid how to rock with it. But instead you're like, no, surgeries, that's the only thing that can fix it. God forbid she be confident in herself even with elf ears. Do you realize how many e-girls on the internet are putting on fake elf ears? Anyway, the mom stormed out and began a small Facebook campaign to get Link fired from the store. Oh, come on, you didn't mean nothing by it. Later that week, the little girl's grandfather came to the store and wanted to straighten everything out. The manager apologized to him on behalf of Link, and the grandfather admitted that his daughter had overreacted. Yeah, no shit, it doesn't bug the kid? Why are you so invested? I have saved the best for last, of course. This may not have taken place at the store, but Link told me all of this firsthand. Link was into all things fantasy and adventure, obviously. He eventually got into a LARPing group with some people from his community college via his friend who was already in the group. He wasn't invited personally to this group, but merely tagged along one day. Oh yes, the more the merrier, I'm sure. He created a character for himself that was a child vampire. Why he chose child vampire, I will never know. He saw that one child vampire movie with Jonathan Lipnicki in it in the 90s, you remember? I don't know if I'm even thinking of the right kid, but I do remember seeing the box in Blockbuster way back in the day. Nobody even knows what Blockbuster is anymore. Dead media. I weep for the future. Several weeks of going to the LARP group must have been enough for the other group members because they killed off his character. Most people would have gotten the hint and joined a group that, you know, wanted them there, not Link. Not only did he continue to go to the LARP group, but he invented an all-new character. I'm sure this one's going to be a lot better. This character's sole purpose was to investigate the circumstances of his former character's death and bring the guilty to justice. I mean, nobody's mad when a vampire dies, right? It's kind of sad when a kid dies. But like a child vampire, it's more vampire than child. You don't understand, guys. She's actually like 1,000 years old. When he told me all of this, I had to fight back laughter. I suggested that maybe he should find a different group, but he insisted there was a mystery to solve. Okay, Scooby-Doo, have fun. I transferred a few weeks after this happened, so I never found out if he succeeded in solving his own murder. Well, thanks for reading about my odd coworker, and sorry for the long post. Hopefully you got a chuckle or two out of it. I mean, it's me. There probably was a chuckle or 10 along the way. All in all, relatively enjoyable. Link is a weirdo, but again, I don't think it's anything that's unfixable. He's just very confused, hasn't got it quite figured out with the way things work and whatnot. So yes, I could say with some amount of confidence that I think all of these neckbeards can be rehabilitated as long as they are deprived of their main neckbeard treat, which is, of course, pity and Mountain Dew. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed the video, friends. Sign up on the Patreon if you'd like, or the YouTube memberships. We got a lot of names. The scrolling bar right there. They're so wonderful and beautiful and helping me to get through every month. The community we have created, best one on the internet, bar none, hands down. So thank you very, very much for being a part of it. Making me feel like I'm doing something that actually matters. And I feel like I'm doing something that double plus extra matters when people are actively throwing money in it. So thank you again. If you could sign up, then I appreciate it. If not, don't worry about it. You watched the video this far, you know? What else could I really ask for? I mean, a few bucks a month. But what else besides that? Doesn't hurt to ask. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. But what's most importantly, friends, is that I want you to remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. There's this one guy who nicknamed himself Shadow. like after the hedgehog? he was a typical... Why would they do the voice?